walls. Ethan had always loved old houses, their creaky floors, the scent of aged wood, the sense of history in every corner. It all fascinated him. So when he found a deal on a century-old house in a quiet rural town, he didn't hesitate to buy it. The locals avoided the place, but Ethan dismissed their warnings as small-town superstitions. People talk, he told himself. Ghost stories are just stories. The first few nights were uneventful, aside from the occasional creaks and groans of the old house settling. But on the fourth night, as he lay in bed reading, he heard something strange, a whisper. At first, he thought it was the wind slipping through the cracks in the walls, but then he heard it again, faint, almost like a breath against his ear. "Help me!" Ethan froze. His heart pounded as he looked around. The room was empty. He swallowed hard and shook his head. "Just my imagination," he muttered, turning off the light. But the whispers continued. Each night they grew clearer, more desperate. Sometimes they called his name. Other times they wept. The walls seemed to hum with unseen voices, and Ethan found himself unable to sleep. One evening, determined to prove to himself that it was all in his head, he pressed his ear to the wall. Silence. He let out a breath of relief, but just as he turned away, a loud bang shook the house. Ethan stumbled back, his pulse racing. The sound had come from inside the walls. He grabbed a flashlight and, with trembling hands, pried open a loose panel. The wood groaned as it came away, revealing a dark, narrow space. The air that rushed out smelled of decay. And then he saw it, a skeletal hand reaching toward him from the shadows. Ethan gasped and fell backward as the whispers turned to shrieks. A face emerged from the darkness, a hollow-eyed, twisted remnant of something that had once been human. Its mouth moved, forming the words he had heard night after night. "Help me!" With a choked cry, Ethan scrambled away. He barely made it out of the house before the walls themselves seemed to tremble, as if something trapped inside was trying to break free. The next morning, Ethan returned with the police. They tore open the walls and made a horrifying discovery. A body, wedged between the wooden beams, the remains of a woman, her face frozen in eternal terror. The town records revealed the truth. She had lived there decades ago. Her husband had murdered her and hidden her in the walls. She had been crying for help ever since. Ethan left that house and never returned. But sometimes, in the dead of night, when the wind was still, he swore he could still hear the whispers, soft and pleading. "Help me."